Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. Just going to call this special meeting to order. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, thanks for coming out. This is to discuss, obviously, a contract, give us the ability to discuss and negotiate a tuition contract with West Bath. And so we're just going to start with motion to elect a moderator, and then we will go from there. So, Jamie.
I move to nominate Greg M. as moderator.
Great. Can I have a second? Okay, second by Megan. Any discussion? All in favor? Great. So Greg, I'm just going to come over so we can do this part. No, no other nominations.
It was close. We had to close a couple people out.
Now it's on, right? Yeah. Okay. So I, Greg M., do swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state as long as I shall continue a citizen thereof. So help me God. I do swear that I will discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as moderator for this meeting or election according to the Constitution and laws of the state. So help me God.
I do.
Okay.
All right.
And then we just
Let me
need to
that,
sign.
and you can countersign. Yep. Yeah. All right. Here we are. Again, my name's Greg M. and happy to moderate this hopefully brief meeting. So this is actually kind of within a board meeting. This is a meeting of the legislative body of the RSU, which is the voters of the RSU. And it's because the legislative body is required to approve the article that's on the warrant to authorize the board to enter into a tuition contract with West Bath. So this is a lot like the budget meeting, the annual budget meeting that you guys do in May-ish probably. And I'll dispose of any procedural things until they're needed because I don't think they will be. But briefly, I'll read the article. I'll look for a motion and a second, and I'll open the floor for discussion. After discussion, we'll take a vote on it, and I'll declare the results. So I'll just march right in. So Article 1, shall the School Board of Regional School Unit Number 1 be authorized to negotiate a tuition contract with the West Bath School Department to accept West Bath secondary students for a term of 2 to 10 years? So is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. And maybe a second? Okay, so, and I'll take that as a motion to approve the article as written. Is there any discussion on Article 1?
We're not setting the contract tonight. We're just voting to bring it to a special election, right?
No, we're
No.
voting so that he can negotiate with
Oh.
the superintendent. So the
Okay.
superintendent's can sit down and hopefully come. to
Okay.
an
So no monetary value tonight, right?
No, we're just authorizing the board to have the authority to do this. So Emily and I would try to work out the details, and then she would bring it to her board for hopefully approval, and I would bring it to you for approval, at some point in the near future.
Okay. And when does the current contract?
It ends at the end of the school year.
Okay.
So we're going to.
Anything else? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of Article 1? The clerks want to vote? Opposed? Okay, I'm going to say that the Article 1 carries. And that's the end of our business, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second, all those in favor of adjourning? Thank you, we're adjourned.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I hope all the kids and the staff, everyone had a good winter break. For those who had a winter break, so welcome back, and we're going to get right to it. If I can have any comments, or do you want to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as written.
A second. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor? Okay, great. And as far as adjustments to the agenda, we're going to move 11.1, which is the new high school course, after as 7.2, part of the staff reports. Okay. Any other issues? Okay. Now we move right into public session. If anyone is here from the public that had any comments about what's on our agenda, wanted to speak? No? Okay. We're going to get right to it then. I'm going to hand it over to Patrick. I'm going to introduce our guest for 7.1 BMS Gifted and Talented.
So we have Katie Willis here, who is our gifted and talented teacher at BMS, and I'll have you come up. And I really appreciate you being here tonight. And I know you brought some student friends with you, and so we thank them and their parents for coming out tonight and bringing them here. So welcome, and thank you for being here.
Yep, so I'm Katie Willis, and I teach gifted and talented at Bath Middle School. But today I'm going to talk about my enrichment program, because I also do enrichment, which has it has all of my gifted and talented students involved, but I also have some non-identified students who partake in the enrichment program. And the enrichment program at BMS covers all students are a part of it, and they do math, ELA, or science, and they rotate every trimester. All students rotate between those three subject areas, but in my enrichment, it's more for the students who don't really need the extra practice or number play or the skills that they're learning in the traditional enrichment. So I do more of an advanced type enrichment, and I'm kind of free to do any curriculum I choose. So for my 8th grade, I do drone and aviation technology. And for my 6th and 7th grade, we started with this kind of robotic unit where they're learning electrical circuits and applying those to trash items. So, and that's what you'll see today. So we'll start with Will. Start with that if you want.
So, after learning about electrical circuits and how they work, we were given toothbrushes, which we would take apart, take the battery out, and extract the motor and battery holder. Then we would tape the battery inside and the cover to complete the circuit, and attach that to a brush. We would then use the motor to create shake. That shake would move and it would slide across the table. We would cut off brushes so it would move one way or another to reduce drag. And we would use counterweights to make it move one way or the other, to try to pull it to move in the way we would like to. This may move. Yes. They go in a circle. Some go straight. Some go backwards. Some you never know what they're gonna do. Depends on the day. Yes, and we had many competitions with them, including a drag race where there were 2 rulers, lanes on the floor, and 2 bots would be set on each end, and they would race to the other side, and first one there won. And each enrichment group had a bracket, and we would have one winner for that. We had the sumo, which was a 1v1 bot fight in a circle, and the first to either leave or get pushed out loses, and the last to stay in wins. Then we had a joust, where we attach one item and try to push the bot out like that. And then we had a creativity and design contest, where we would all decorate the bots and try to give them personalities, and then we voted on all of them unanimously. These are our art bots. So we would start by taking the same motor and a battery pack and placing it inside of a cup, either that way with markers facing that way, or like me, who's the only one who did it like this, like that, with all the motor stuff inside or on top. And then we'd create a switch out of a piece of cardboard and 2 bobby pins and a paper clip, where when you would put it on, now it's vibrating by just pushing down the paper clip. And then we'll put it on a piece of paper with the markers open. And the markers will draw lines. We could manipulate the way it would move by placing weights on one side or the other, so that would not move as much and the other side would have more. Would be more free to move. Many people just had the switch on top. I chose to cut a circle of cardboard so it would fit on the top and make it all nice and sealed. We had 4 different markers of our choice and many, many different designs. Some went straight, some went zigzag. One of them made an absolute perfect circle. And some you could almost manipulate by just turning it somehow. Don't know how that works, but it works.
And then we have Sloan.
So after the art bots and the brush bots, we used what we had learned to make our own robots out of different junk that we had brought in. And some of them have wheels, like this one. When you turn it on, it will move. And the fan will blow it, so when you put it down, it'll move forwards. And then some of them have wheels, like this, where you turn it on and it'll roll across the table. So it'll roll like a turtle. This one goes in circles and chases an apple around. And then I decided to put legs on my robot, which was a challenge because we had to figure out how to first attach the legs to make it walk first. So our first model had legs like this, that when you turned it on, they go up and down like this. But when you walk, your legs don't go up and down like this. So when we put it down, it didn't walk. So then, after we did some research, we found this model. But when you turn it on, it the cardboard's too flimsy and the steps too wide. So when it walks, it just falls over. And the plan at first was to attach it to a crayon box. But when you try to attach it, it doesn't really stay on and it overweighs it on one side. So the final model, I turned it into a chicken and he walks on a table when the feathers don't get stuck. He hobbles across the table. And these we worked on for 3 weeks. Yeah. So, and everyone had different models and ideas for what they were going to build using different motors and pieces to their bots. So, yeah. And at first we made drawings about what our final model was going to look like. And we have to reflect on how they have changed since our first draft. And so some of them have changed drastically and some have stayed pretty strict.
So I guess my question to the students would be, one, what did you feel like when your initial hypothesis or initial design didn't work? Like, did you just give up and say, I don't want to do it anymore, or what? What did you do?
So there were some days where I stood up and I tried to do it, like when the first and second drafts wouldn't work, and then I would have to back away from it and kind of come back to it the next day and do more research on it, because there would be points where I had no clue what to do next because when it doesn't work. And then it got to a point where I had to take it home over break to finish it and be able to like revise over it. So there was some points where it started to crack over break. So then we got worried, but we were able to fix it by turning the legs backwards. So
She kept telling herself, I've come too far to give up now.
For my junk bot, one of my personal struggles was the wheels and how it would move. I was able to get pretty much everything other than that fine, but I decided to take popsicle sticks or chopsticks. I don't know what they were. Wooden sticks, small wooden sticks, and I had plastic wheels. And then I did not have any idea of how to keep those wheels in place, because the other fixed wheels, you would need a straw and a metal thing. But I was using an orange juice can, and that wouldn't have been long enough to reach across the whole thing. I could have cut a hole in the bottom, but I decided to try to glue Lego pieces to the ends of those straws and try to put the wheel in the middle of that. And that wasn't really working. So I decided to switch gears and make it a boat. I took just the wheels off, scrapped that idea, took a piece of foam, 2 pieces of foam, glued them together, cut it into a circle, stuck it in the lid, where you drink from or pour from, and stuck an extra shaft onto the motor so I could stick it all the way through and keep it waterproof. Then I hot glued the edges of it. So now there's a rod going all the way through the foam with a propeller on it. And I am not done with it, but I am adding some styrofoam pieces from a thin piece of styrofoam that I've glued together, and a bigger piece on the bottom of it and a smaller piece on the end, so the little lid sits in the water, so the propeller is in the water. I don't know how that's going to work yet. It hasn't really been tested like that. If that doesn't work, I'm probably either going to add more flotation to the front and or weights in the back.
You had to not just say I failed at first. You just had to keep redesigning and changing how you were approaching something.
Yeah, I'd redesigned a couple times, and then
That shows flexibility, and that shows determination. So those are great things to learn. Thank you.
I have a question for you. Well, whose brush bot won?
did I show?
The brush bots. Who won the competition?
Oh,
And why do you think they won?
I don't remember, but it was mostly whichever one went more straight. It wasn't really speed. It was just whichever one went the straightest and didn't turn and hit the wall. Oh, and jousting were some of the ones that made a tighter circle and didn't really move and hit other things. I decided to attach a yardstick to mine, and that would hit other bots. And my original idea was since a spin would hit those and push them off the edge, but that kind of backfired when the popsicle stick would hit another bot, and my bot slid off the edge.
Self-sabotage.
My idea to that, although it would validate the rules of the one item, was to tape pencils to the end so it would almost hook the other bots so I couldn't fall off the edge. But that would be against the rules of the competition.
Any other questions? Thank you. Go ahead.
I was going to say
go
no
ahead.
questions. I just want to say how impressed I am with the presentation and how well you did with the public speaking, which is not an easy thing to do, but I think you're both natural at it.
Yeah, no, that's huge. That's great. Yeah, they are naturals at it. Very creative. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Next.
So parents, students, thank you for being here, and you don't need to stay. So, but thank you. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for coming out tonight. Did a great job. So next, we have the elective, new Morse High School elective, and Danielle or Eric, do you guys want to just, I know we have the backup. Do you want to just maybe just give us the reason for how this came to fruition and then see if there's any questions?
So the whole idea is that we'll have a half credit just in the fall semester, STEM or STEAM competition elective class. The idea came up because, well, I've done so many STEM competitions, or a bunch of them in the past 20, 25 years in education. And the Windstorm Challenge I did with the physics class years ago up at UMaine. I used to coach Ocean Bowl, and we made it to nationals in Colorado. That was a great experience. And I did Sea Perch one year, which is underwater ROVs, and these are really great hands-on experiences for kids, for much the same reasons that you just heard. Being creative, troubleshooting, resiliency, but there's not always a lot of time to work this into a class with curriculum. I do a little video competition that connects to population growth in my AP Environmental Studies class every year, and it's hard to squeeze in. It always feels like I'm taking away from the time I should be spending on the curriculum. This elective would be kind of a chance to mentor students and give them some structure, and allow them to pursue a passion, whether it's doing some research and entering the Maine State Science Fair, doing like a CubeSat challenge, entering the Windstorm Challenge at UMaine again, or doing some other kind of, there's a Maine app challenge. There's a National Geographic challenge. There's all kinds of different STEM and STEAM competitions out there. And they all have some kind of structure. Most of them have their own rubrics. But I would be there to help give the students some structure, to set goals, to troubleshoot when they run into those kinds of frustrating moments where they don't know what to do next. It's not working out the way they thought it should or would. And to help them meet deadlines and that kind of thing. It works best in a fall semester because most of the competitions are in the second half of the year. So a student could, or a team of students could, continue to touch base with me through Builder Block or after school, after their first semester elective class ends. But it would be designated time within the school day where they could research, design, build, troubleshoot, carry on a long-term project, and have a place for it in school where it could stay in a corner or shelf in my room. We had a few years back, we had a student who tested the effects of ocean acidification on coccolithophores. And I was one of 3 science teachers that supported her work. And she went on to win an award at the Maine State Science Fair and had offers for scholarships and stuff. And that was incredibly rewarding. It was a lot of after school time. And so this idea is like, bring it within the school day, give some kids and teacher mentors the time within the day to make that work. And this could be an individual who wants to pursue something or a small team of 3, 4, or 5 people. Did I say too much?
No, you're good. Is it, so when you're saying a team, because some of the competitions, right, it's not just individual, it could be a team of kids that
Correct.
Sign up for it.
Correct.
Okay. That's great. Do you have questions for me?
I think
Comments?
it sounds really exciting and fun. And do we have, and I'm not sure who to direct this question toward, but do we have the funding to properly support it? Or is that part of what our budget will encompass going forward?
I can say that some of these competitions don't cost anything. For instance, the Windstorm Challenge, when you register, they give you a kit with the couplings and stuff that you need to incorporate into your design, and that can be made of found objects. Some of them, like the Sea Perch, have like $100 investment, and I foresee, writing small grants on, donors choose and that kind of thing that would help with that.
Yeah, and we are talking about non-labor budgets in a couple of weeks, but we did put some money aside for and it's not huge money, but just to cover some of the costs that we don't exactly have dialed out, but I don't see it being a huge budget item. So, yeah. I'd also, just one thing, I thought Danielle did a great job, but one thing I'd point out is in terms of like time management, one thing that we found, this is really invaluable for students to have these sorts of original opportunities that they can write about in their next stages, college applications and so on, that are different than I took these courses and I got these grades. The challenge that we always find is that students who are interested in pursuing those things are pursuing many things, and the time after, it just doesn't always work out. And we've seen a lot of really great successes, but we've also seen students burn out on the process of maybe the Maine State Science Fair or something, because it's just like they just couldn't make it all happen. And so I think offering that time management and that place and those deadlines and reminders would be great.
Yeah, go ahead.
So by doing this extra project, will this impact any of your classroom time? Will you have to offer less classes, or, does that?
No, this wouldn't affect staffing.
Okay.
It's a one-off in a rotation, so it'd meet 3 times a week for 1 semester.
Okay.
And so it might mean that it's always a balance when we have students in that process right now. We have students sign up for courses, and then we evaluate what the interest is and which ones that we're going to offer, because not every course in our course book runs every year. And so it might mean that there's a couple more kids in a class, or that there's that more students are interested in this semester, but not another semester. So if Ms. Young didn't have the candidates one year, we wouldn't run it, just like other courses.
Okay. And you mentioned something about rubrics. The rubric for the class is that it's not the fact that they're successful at any competition, right? I mean, there is the ability to carry through and meet deadlines and do that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, there are rubrics that are specific to each competition as well.
Right.
But the rubrics for self would be, we would agree on them for each person or team at the beginning of the semester,
Mhm.
and there would be self-evaluation as well as teacher evaluation.
Mhm.
But it's a pass-fail too.
Okay.
So, yeah, no letter grade.
Okay. Thank you.
And how many students would you need to sign up for it to, or does that vary? I mean, depending on how many sign up for other electives,
Right,
is that what it
yeah.
is?
We usually put a hard on something like this. We would, especially out of the gates, it's not necessarily going to be a huge. So we would usually try to look for 8 students that we could get it going with for the
Mhm.
first semester. But it does, you're right, it does matter what it's competing against.
Right.
If Miss Young she teaches other like marine
Teaches a
science
lot
or
of, right,
whatnot,
she
and-
teaches several different science
yeah.
courses.
So if we had
sure.
a big group that wanted marine science, well, we might not be able to offer that year. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
Any other comments, questions? This is an action item, so we're voting on this. So, Patty, do you have a question? Oh, so if, then I would need a motion to approve the class.
I move to approve the STEAM competition elective class.
Great, may I have a second? All right, Megan seconds it. Any other question, concerns? No? All in favor? All right, you got yourself a class. Good luck. Thank you for presenting it to us. It sounds really exciting. I think it'll, be great.
As I just mentioned to Eric, we had this building designed with a beautiful STEAM or STEM space in it.
Hmm.
Can actually be used.
That's right. There you go. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the student board representatives report. How you guys doing? Good to see you. You have a good break?
Yeah, we had I had a
Okay.
great break. I don't know,
Good.
Charlie.
It was excellent.
It was
Yeah.
excellent. All right, good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, what you got for us coming back in?
So just before break that Friday, we had our second quarter recognition assembly. So we got to recognize a lot of students in our student body. Some that stood out were Ren Koffinger and Haley Bergeron. Were both recognized by the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, a win for our art department. Ren received a gold key in the drawing and illustration category, and Haley received a silver key in the sculpture category. Our student of the quarter was Otto Schomburg, a senior and a member of the school rock band. He's known for wearing great sunglasses on stage. It's very fun. And the main principal's award recognizing school spirit, academic achievement, and good citizenship went to Sam Lambert this year. He's now automatically considered for a $1,000 scholarship.
Excellent.
And then other happenings, we had a couple of sports state championships over break. So these were swim, which right now are having an historic season as we covered before. On Tuesday, February 18th, the boys swim team won the Class B state championship. This is the second state championship for the program and first Moore State Championship since 2009, which was won by girls swim. This year, the team saw 5 team records broken and 4 new state records. In particular, swimmer Gaffney McDonough was a part of nearly every record-breaking relay and his very own state record in the 50-yard freestyle.
He's having a good year.
Then wrestling saw multiple podium finishes at their state meet. And then indoor track saw Shaylin Brochu, who was crowned the state champion in the 1 mile race with a time of 5 minutes and 4 seconds, where she qualified for the New England Championships set to take place this Saturday. The Morse Ski Squad, ran and organized by juniors Eva Beaton and Levi Riggs, has been enjoying the recent snow, taking student-led trips to Black Mountain, Sugarloaf, Sunday River, and more. And the Morse High School Green Club is starting up again this year and is looking forward to collaborating with the newly founded RSU1 Climate Resilience Working Group to make a combined effort toward making the district more sustainable.
Right, that's great. Great stuff going on. Thank you for the report. Any questions or comments for the students? Thanks for that great report and welcome back. All right, we're going to move on to good news, superintendent's report.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of you know this and the whole community knows this, but I think it's worth mentioning one more time that Micah Depper, who's a science teacher at Bath Middle School, was recognized with a Milken Award. And I think you probably saw some things online about his reaction, and it was just a well-done event. And that organization, we just want to thank them for choosing Micah, but also for all that they did for us that day. And there were past recipients. There was probably 10 or 12 past recipients from Maine that came and took the time to meet with him that day to talk about next steps for him and just that recognition. So very impressive. Department of Education board knows this, but February 5th and 6th, they came and they visited Bath Middle School, Phippsburg, and Fisher Mitchell and Dyke Newell, and that's the school construction visits. So they come, they talk about our applications, they ask follow-up questions, and then we do a tour with them. And so we had some very positive visits, and I would say that they spent the most time between the Dyke Newell sites, the one that burned and the one that they're in now, and they really were thorough and asked a lot of good questions. So 96 schools applied, and the ranked list is scheduled to come out by June 15th, I believe. So that's where we're at with that. Bath Tech held its student of the semester breakfast on February 7th, and it's always a great event. One student from each program is recognized, and I think we had close to 100 people in the culinary, and just great to see the families come out as well as the community members to that event. Just a reminder, it's in your backup, but Morse will host their annual Fine Arts Night on March 5th, and there's just a lot of different things that will go on that evening. So you can see artwork, there'll be student performances and choral and instrumental. So if you can come out that night, I think it's at 6:30, Eric. It's always a great event. students stole my thunder about the athletics, but I'll just mention this. I'll just mention it again. Shailene can certainly run faster than I can, that's for sure. But also, boys swimming and diving just have a very rich history. And I would like to thank, Todd Marco and other former coaches that were with us for many, many years. Todd, maybe he should have stayed another year. But anyway, but also congratulations to Spencer Hollowell, who's our first year coach for the state championship. The state championship is always an elusive target that not many teams or individuals get. So congratulations to them. And I also like to congratulate Jason Rowan for earning his 100 wrestling victory. I don't know a lot about wrestling, but I've gone to a few meets and I know it's not easy. And I think he got it in his last regular season match here. So congratulations to him. It's a lot of hard work. And then lastly, just for the board, Finance Committee cost center reviews, just a reminder that the first one is next Monday from 3 to 6 roughly right here. And the other one is on March 13th. I'll have Kim send out a reminder as well, but that's when those are the 2 dates. And that's all I have.
Is that March? Is that March 3rd?
March 3rd is a Monday, and then the following Thursday, March 13th is the other one.
And March 13th.
Both start at 3.
3 till 3 into the afternoon. Okay. Great. Thanks for that reminder. And any questions for Patrick? Deb, you all set? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Patrick, could you walk us through the scenarios for June 15th if we are, I don't know, like top of the list for the school, and then if we are not?
Yeah, I don't know the cutoff. I mean, in the past, it's been maybe top 5 or top 7 that get guaranteed, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but they're in a good position to receive funding. But it's kind of a debt service revolving piece of the projects they have going on. And once that's freed up, then again, it could be, if you take the first 7, it could be certain ones get to start right off, but then the other ones have to wait a little bit. But again, I don't know all the answers, but again, we're looking at top 5 or 7 has typically been where you receive a fair amount of state funding as a result. If we weren't in that top selection, there is an appeal process that the board could consider doing.
Thank you.
Patrick, if we are, like, just generally, when would that just ballpark? Are we talking about in a year we would start building? When we'd have to pass the funding for that? When would that come in terms of time frame? Or is it just that too hard to answer?
It's challenging to answer. I would say, from the time you get the actual go-ahead, I think 4 years. 3 would be really ambitious. I think 4 might be doable. But again, there's that 21-step process that we have to follow from the state. So the first thing you do is you put together a building committee and you have to select an architect. And then but the nice part for us is if we do get approved for Dyke Newell and we combine with Fisher Mitchell, we already have done that site study and some visioning work. So if we know the site and the board agrees that that's a viable site that we could build on, then we don't have to, we spent a fair amount of time with Morse looking for property and looking for a place to build and having hearings about, are we going to renovate and are we going to build new? And I don't think we need to talk about that on this one.
You blocked it. Great. Anything else?
And we'd have a celebration.
Yeah. That's great. Go ahead, Deb.
So tonight we're looking at January. 7 months into the year, we've spent almost $23 million. We've got encumbered $15 million, and the majority of that is salary and benefits. So we're in line with where we spend is on the expense side, 12.9% remaining. Last year it was 12.2. As far as revenue, we've brought in almost 26 million. And once again, we're at the same amount pretty much of how we spend every year. Tuition's coming in. I expect it to be a little bit less than what we have budgeted, only because the number of students and the rate's a little bit different. But, we hope that some of the other revenues come in to close that gap. Once again, we've listed all the federal funds, and that's just basically what we receive. There's no expense of, no description of how we've spent everything or year to date. And couple of those Lincoln Health grants, and we're working away at those. And that's about it. Everything's as planned, pretty much, just keeping our eyes on things.
Nothing unusual.
Nothing
Yeah.
unusual at this point.
Good.
So.
Any questions on? Go ahead. Jen.
So, funding, expectations and changes of funding in terms of federal funding. Is there any way to predict anything that we're looking at, or we've heard anything back from our funding resources that say this program may not be funded, or this funding might be stopped, or anything like that in terms of?
No, I mean, we just hope for the best.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, this shows like 1.5 million in federal funds, and obviously we're 7 months into the year, so we haven't heard anything. So
I mean, I
we
think
shall
we're going to
remain hopeful.
keep in touch with Robbie Feinberg, who's the new communications person for MSMA, and just keeping in touch with him. I think Deb did a nice job of outlining for you on that report. That lower left-hand column would be certain funds that are federally funded that I guess one could say if something's going to be impacted, it might be one of those, but also our food service program, not just ours, but everybody's in the state of Maine also could be impacted if, because it is federally funded. But again, we don't have any information at this time.
And do we have how much percentage of these funds do we already have? Like, this is what was awarded?
That's what's awarded annually.
Okay. And is there any kind of concept of what we already have and or have drawn down? Like maybe if we're drawing down 70% of this already. So.
I'd say probably like 60%. I mean, it depends, I draw it down monthly based upon how we're spending. So in February, I'm drawing down what we spent in January. So we're moving along and we try to spend it, fast.
Yeah. Well, it's there. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we can get it because we just don't know yet. All right. Any other
Okay.
questions for Deb? All right. Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it. All right. We're moving on to old business. We've got 4 different policies that are action items. So you've seen them before. The IGOA, field trips and other student travel, EBBB, accident reports, ECA, energy conservation management in the schools, ECB, pest management in school facilities and on school grounds. Are there any issues with any of these that someone wants to discuss? And go ahead.
I think this is what they call a routine technical amendment that has no really substantial change in any of the policies, but could we just take a look at them? And the very first paragraph, when it mentions the board of directors first, if we could just slice in there the RSU1 board of directors, I think that's enough to say, identify it like in that first line, and then every time it says the board after that, I think that's easy to infer that. But just to look at those ones that we're taking action tonight and just update that a little bit, but nothing
Just so
substantial.
that it's specific to RSU1 versus any board of directors. Okay. All right. Any other questions or concerns?
I had in the IJOA, in the
IJOA
very,
field trips, yeah.
yep, the very first sentence, there's 2 thes. One needs to be removed. And then I think the word of school-sponsored trips as a means needs to be put back in.
So you have recognized the educational value of school-sponsored trips.
Yeah.
That seems to me. Does everyone follow that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other edits?
Maybe a little too technical, but on ECA, is it the nation's natural resources we want to conserve or the Earth's?
Well, it's a good question. What do folks think? You want to change it to Earth? Is there a reason it's nation? Was this something, is that a new word in there, or is it
No,
how it was before?
That's how it was before.
And is it in reference, it's a new policy?
No.
Oh, it's a new policy. So what do you all think? Sounds good.
Who owns them?
Is everyone okay with that? Is there a reason not to? I was just trying to look at the context. Which one where are you at? Let me see. So let's see,
Preserving the
effectively
nation's
managing
natural
school unit finances. Yeah, I mean, I can see why it could be either, but I'm fine with either. What do people want to go? Yeah, Earth?
You making a friendly amendment?
Friendly
Yeah.
amendment, yes.
Okay.
I will second the friendly. I'll
So-
second the friendly amendment.
Okay. Everyone okay with that? All
Sorry, I
right.
didn't get
So we'll
that
put that in, Earth's natural resource. Anything else? Any other edits? You sure? Okay. Everybody's good? So are we okay taking this as one vote? All right, so just need a motion then?
Approve the policies as written.
Okay, and a second from, okay, second from Patty. All right, any further discussion? No, all right, all those in favor? Okay, passed with amendments. Small, friendly amendments. Okay, it's nice when it's friendly. All right, moving on to new business. Katie, good to see you. Hope you had a good break. Instruction update.
Instruction update is very short because I was actually hoping to answer Jen's question about title funding, but I haven't sent any information out yet. So I stand behind Deb's former answer. And then the only other quick update I had that's non-budgetary is I did get a request from Maddie Daughtry's office to either go in person or write something, and I will write something because it's for this Thursday. They are bringing up the 8:30 later start time again, and it's going to be her testimony will be heard this Thursday for the educational committee. So I don't know anything other than that. I will write something because I know that the board had said if other folks do it, we would want to reconsider that. And so I'll let you know any updates if I hear of them. But other than that, I have nothing to add and hope to be able to speak more about federal funding next time.
Great. Yeah, no, we know Maddie's always been the one putting it up there
Yeah.
now that she's the Senate president, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's got a little more influence. So that'll be interesting to see what they do on the state level, if anything.
Right.
And what grade is that to?
It would be for anyone essentially at middle school and high school would have 8:30 or later start time. And often in the states who do it, there are stipulations for if you start the younger students early, how early they can go too. So for instance, when we were looking at it, we were looking for roughly a just before 8 o'clock start time for the littles. And then I think it was like 8:35 or 8:40 for the older students. So I'll let you know if anything comes of it.
Great. You're all set then? Nothing else? Okay, thank you. So yeah, I guess now approval of the school calendar. And thank you for that. And all the continue with all the holidays and everything.
Any comment you want to make, Katie? Anything
No,
different?
nothing's
Okay.
changed since when I spoke of it last time. We haven't had any trouble with the 5 dissimilar days from any of the other calendars that have been submitted from the other districts. So I
Okay.
think we should be good to go to follow all those rules.
Great. Are there any questions from anybody on the school calendar? Y'all had a chance to look at it? Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. I know this is not an easy process. It's like a Rubik's Cube,
It's
I'm
never-
sure.
Never simple. And so
I
we're,
have to say that Kim Burgess really does all the work and
Yay, Kim.
she enjoys it. It's a strange passion of hers, and she has anyone ever wants an archive, she has every calendar dating back till
No way. Oh,
1991.
wow. That's
And
really
so
cool.
really we refer back to years with similar where days fell similarly, and
Yeah.
She's like our own historic record. It's great.
That's great. Yeah, because it's got to be, you're this time Labor Day is right on the 1st, so it's going to be in early September. Okay, great. So this is an action item, right? We need to approve. So we need to approve the calendar. Does anyone have any other questions on it? Can I have a motion? Yes.
Move approval.
Okay. Okay. And seconded by Megan. All right. All those in favor? Okay, calendar passes. And Aurora thinks, nope, not going, that doesn't abide by me this time. I'm done. And for Charlie, it's going to be the senior year. It's a big deal. All right, so we've done that. And where are we at now? We've got first reading of board policies, no action. So look them over. We've got graduation exercises, facilities planning, naming of facilities, and memorials. Is there any comments or anything we need to know? Yes.
For the graduation exercises policy, I think we discussed in policy committee that we were going to add a section under the paragraph about special education. There was going to be a line that says like all the other groups, individual responsible, colon, and then who would be responsible for overseeing that. And I think that would go under the special education sentence, just so it kind of follows the same pattern as other names. I think that was one thing. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I put it under 4.
Oh, did I miss it? I'm sorry.
I put it under 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
There, and because I just felt like that was more inclusive place to put it, but.
Nope, thank you. I'm sorry. I missed that. Thank you.
Okay.
That's good.
Any other details, things we should know that are looked for?
I would just say naming of facilities and memorials.
Yeah.
They can be sensitive, and if you read those policies carefully, they do come back to the board for usually their final consideration. And we haven't had much of that in this district, but I think it's something that you need to be comfortable with, that's all.
Okay, great.
And with that regards, we have a community member on our policy committee, which I don't feel like I should say their names necessarily, but they're such a wonderful wordsmith and really deep thinker. And I just want to say that the policy committee can't do the work that we do, without a lot of help from individuals and people on the board, and also the wonderful residents and citizens. So
Well, that's great.
thank you for all those members.
Thanks for that acknowledgement for folks. That's great. All right, so no questions on that for tonight? Yes. Amanda.
There was on the memorials one, I just saw the he, she, that could be changed to they.
Okay. Change that for the next iteration. Anything else? No? Okay. Let's move on to 11.5 overnight field trip requests. It's an action item going to the lodge. We need anything on this? It's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
No, go ahead if you want.
I was just saying, this is Leslie Trundy's
Yeah.
fashion.
Yeah.
This is the group. You can see the,
Yeah, and she
the
talked to
students
us.
are responsible for some costs, but the grant funds will cover it if they can't go. It's a Thursday through Saturday.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Jen.
I can't remember what she told me about this, but I just thought about going 100 miles in the wilderness. There's the wilderness first aid thing called a WFA
Yeah,
or a
she's-
WFR, and is she I couldn't remember what level of first aid she had. And there's
was
also
pretty
one
high.
called WFR.
Yeah, I think she had, I remember when she was talking about it, I
Okay.
thought she had like almost
Okay.
everything.
Okay,
If,
Yeah.
thank
if
you.
not everything.
Okay.
Yeah, she's up there. She's.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so we just need a motion for this, so we
I
can,
move approval.
and a second. Okay, need a second. And all those in favor? And we are good, thank you. And then we're down to personnel reports.
Yeah, just retirements. I'm Melanie Lewis, who's an ed tech in the system at Fisher Mitchell, and would like to thank her for 38 years in the system.
Wow.
Yeah. And then 12.1B, I'd have you take off the agenda for right now, just because we're still trying to work that situation out.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So I would not bring that forward to you tonight.
Okay,
We're
not yet.
We're not ready to. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll hold off on that. 13.0 board goals. Jennifer, did you want to?
Sure. I think that if we're in reviewing our accident report policy, EBBB, we met our goal 2. I think in meeting a continued review of our facilities, you'd find a review of the policy, facilities planning policy, 11.4B. So I think those are a couple of things. We also got an update on the school construction, which follows goal 4. And I think that hits those goals for this.
Great, thank you. All right, so where we are now is we're going to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405 to confer with legal counsel. And so the students, you guys can take off because when we get back, we're just going to be adjourning and setting the next meeting date. And everyone else can go and we'll just we need a vote to go in, right? So I just need a motion to go into
I move to enter executive session.
seconded by Anita. And all those in favor? Okay, we'll go into that as soon as everyone else clears out.